Let me tell you about a kid, and you tell me if there's any resonance for you. In your particular family, dad was distant, working a lot. Dad was walled off, not terribly emotional. Mom may put on a game face, but you, little 3, 4 year old, you know better. You can feel your mom's broken heart. You move in to the breach. You try in your way, although you may not have the wherewithal to articulate it, but nevertheless, you're going to make mom happier. She diminishes her caretaking of you, and you accelerate your emotional caretaking of her. You often get positive feedback for this, but it's not a gift, it's a burden. You grow up and you have a model of relationships that's relationships equal caretaking. You were a little caretaker, now you're a big caretaker. You start to feel used, smothered, ungiven to. Love avoidance. Don't use me, don't smother me. And I have little faith that you really care about me and what I need, and you're open to negotiate. We can do better than that. Let me teach you how. The dance of intimacy can be described as an endless choreography negotiation of closeness and distance. People think because I'm a couples therapist, I'm a big advocate of closeness, which of course I am, but I'm also an advocate of distance. Unadulterated closeness in a couple becomes psychotic fusion. We don't want that. So I'm a fan of distance, but of course, how much is too much? Quite often, you have a pair where one is an anxious, perhaps complaining pursuer, and the other is a leave me alone, shut it down. And let's be clear, you can shut it down and be 6 inches in front of the person. It's called stonewalling. So one wants more and one wants, what is going on here? Pushed to extremes, this pair is what we call a love dependent or a love addict, which means I am using connection to you, your warm regard of me, as a self-esteem dialysis machine. I have a shaky sense of self-esteem, so I filter it through your warm regard of me. When that drug is flowing, all's well. When there's a crimp in the hose, you get preoccupied, you turn away, you get mad. I go into a crash. We're going to be talking about love dependency, love addiction. But now I want to talk about the other half, love avoidance. The attachment theory calls it a avoidant dismissive attachment style. If the wound, as we'll discuss, for the love dependent is abandonment. Don't leave me, I'm going to die. I'm not a 60-year-old, I'm a 4-year-old. The wound for love avoidance, if there is a wound at all, tends to be the opposite of abandonment, intrusion, exploitation, being used. But it's actually more complicated than that. Love avoidance, which of course is so prevalent in our culture, really demands more than a 10-minute conversation. So I am going to actually do a whole series of 10-minute videos on love avoidance, and then love dependence, addiction, and then the dynamic when you put them together. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about this in some depth. Here's the first intro. Love avoidance. I make a distinction between two types of love avoidant, type 1 and type 2. And let's start with type 1. That's actually, in some ways, easier. Type 1 love avoidant does not come from a wound and an adaptation to a wound. A type 1 love avoidance comes from modeling. I live behind walls. I'm pretty intellectual. I'm walled off from my emotions. I don't particularly like your emotions, particularly vulnerable ones, anything needy. When you grow up in a family where everybody's behind walls and no one expresses a feeling, And no one goes to anyone with a feeling or a vulnerability. There's an implicit sort of message for many of these families that certainly vulnerability or need. I just had a fight with my girlfriend, Mommy. What should I do? I don't know, figure it out. Self reliance is key, and vulnerability, need, emotion. It never quite gets said, but it's like bad taste. It's like passing gas at a dinner party. It's kind of gauche. Emotions that are kind of gauche, particularly and burdensome. You don't like this is very much a British tradition. You don't want to burden somebody with your emotions. So, you internalize a sort of a value that being walled off, not sharing a lot of emotions, not needing anybody, self-reliance is key. These are all virtues. And of course, the problem is, as I like to say to type 1 love avoidance, there's absolutely nothing wrong with your value system. If you are all about, individual independence and self-reliance and no emotion, certainly no vulnerability and no need. Go get them. That's great. I have no judgment about that. You'd be fine as long as you lived in a cave. But poor guy or gal or non binary person, here's what you did to yourself. You found a romantic partner and you created a family. You actually have a bunch of kids. Well, I hate to tell you, but if you're all by yourself, not letting much out and not all that interested in taking much in, if you're walled off, you can be appropriately boundaried, which is supple. I'm protected and screened, but I'm also connected. Love dependence are boundaryless, too open, too porous, thin skinned, we say. Love avoidance are the opposite. They're too boundary, they're walled off. They're protected, but they're a fortress. Nothing comes in, nothing comes out. Yeah, great. You're protected, but you're pretty lonely inside all that armor. The problem, of course, is you may not think you're all that lonely. It's how you grew up. Your kids, however, and your partner may not agree with you on that one. My message to you type 1 love avoidance out there is this. I'm not saying that you have to be uncomfortable in your by my lights, lonely little fortress. You may be comfortable as hell, but the people you're living with are not. And research is really clear. Intimacy, including emotional connection, is good for us. It's good for our relationships. It's good for our mental health. Marked decrease in depression, anxiety. You live longer. It's good for our physical health. So if you're listening to this talk on love avoidance and you're a type 1 love avoidant, which means probably you're not that uncomfortable with it. The reason why you're listening is because somebody who loves you is uncomfortable with it. And here's the tough news that I have to tell you. They're right. They're right. And my invitation to you is the same invitation I would offer you if you were sitting in my office with your family. Intimacy is good for us. The research could not be clearer. It's good for our mental health. It's good for our emotions. It's very good for our bodies. You will live longer. Your kids will have a better relationship with you. Your kids will be healthier human beings, and your partner will be a lot happier with you if you dissolve this wholesale form of self protection. Nothing comes in, nothing comes out. And not unprotected. We used to do that in the 60s. Take down your wall. No, no. The cure for a wall is a boundary, not nothing. But a boundary is supple. A boundary is nuanced. When you're operating inside of a boundary instead of a wall, you're protected, but you're still connected. You're listening, you're sifting through what the person has to say to see what you're going to take in and to think about what you're going to let out. But those of us who live behind walls are often connected to partners and children, sometimes even workmates, who just want more from us, more sharing, more compassion when we share, more heart to heart connection. What that wall is costing you is an open heart. And that open heart may be okay with you, but as we speak, it is doing damage to your partner. And in some not even so subtle ways, it's probably doing damage to your kids. Here's my invitation: open up, learn a little bit about how to be more nuanced in the ways in which you protect yourself. Learn about feelings. They're not so terrible. Feelings won't kill you. They may be painful. We have a whole range of feelings as a human being, but feelings won't harm you. Shutting feelings down can kill you. So make your partner happy, make your kids happy, make your body happy, make your actuary table happy. Pick up the mantle of this challenge and learn a few things how to stay protected, but not in such a sort of sledgehammer way. Protected with nuance and a friend to your emotion and others, not a denying enemy. Try it. I think you actually may like it. And certainly the people around you will be very happy that you're doing it. Thanks a lot. If you found this helpful, hit the button below and subscribe to this channel. There's plenty more on love avoidance coming your way.